The familiar ding of my phone made my stomach clench. Another Venmo request from my brother. I stared at the screen, my coffee growing cold beside my laptop, where I'd been reviewing research proposals. $3,000, just like that. My name is Tinsley, and I've spent the last decade being my family's ATM. Did you see my request? Fabian's text popped up immediately after. It's for application fees. Mom says it's important. I took a deep breath, remembering the 3 jobs I was working to keep up with his important expenses. Give me a minute, I typed back, my fingers trembling slightly. The phone rang. Mom. Tinsley, darling, have you sent the money to your brother yet? Harvard's deadline is approaching, and we can't miss this opportunity. Her voice carried that familiar mix of sweetness and steel that always made me feel like a disappointing child. Mom, I just got the request 5 minutes ago. That's a lot of money. But it's for your brother's future. You know how brilliant he is. This could change everything for him. She paused. For all of us. I glanced at my own acceptance letter from Stanford's graduate program, still unopened in my desk drawer. The one I couldn't afford to accept because every spare penny went to Fabian. I'm at work, Mom. I need to go. Just send it quickly, dear. Oh, did I tell you? Fabian's professor says he's practically guaranteed that scholarship. Isn't that wonderful? My throat tightened. The one I've been paying for his prep classes for. Now don't be bitter, sweetie. You know your brother needs. I have to go. I cut her off, ending the call. My phone buzzed again. Fabian. Hey sis, what's taking so long? These apps won't submit themselves. I walked to the break room, needing space. Reagan, my best friend and fellow researcher, was heating up her lunch. Let me guess, she said, taking one look at my face. The golden child needs more cash? I showed her the Venmo request. Girl, that's rent money. When are you going to stop enabling them? They're family, I said, automatically. But the words felt hollow. Family doesn't treat family like an endless resource. Reagan crossed her arms. What about your dreams? Your Stanford acceptance? I can't afford, because you're bankrolling your brother's 3rd attempt at an Ivy League education. She softened her voice. Tins, you're brilliant. Your renewable energy research could change lives. When will it be your turn? Before I could respond, my phone rang again. Fabian. Hey sis. His voice was bright, carefree. Just checking on that transfer. Mom's getting anxious. Fabian, this is a lot of money. He laughed. Come on, you know I'm good for it. I'll pay you back one day, promise. Once I'm making the big bucks, I'll take care of you. The same promise he'd made for years. I watched Reagan shaking her head. Remember when you needed money for your guaranteed business venture last year? I asked. That was different. This is education. Mom always says education is the best investment. Yeah, she does. For you. He sighed dramatically. Are we really doing this now? Look, I know you're stuck in that lab job, but this is my chance. Don't you want your little brother to succeed? Something snapped inside me. Years of suppressed dreams, of watching him waste opportunities I'd paid for, of mother's dismissal of my achievements. It all crystallized into a single moment of clarity. Actually, about that lab job, I said, my voice steady. I just got published in Nature. My research on sustainable energy storage is, that's great, sis, he cut in. So about that transfer. I looked at Reagan, who was watching me with concern, then at my laptop, where my own research waited, the research that could actually make a difference in the world. I can't, Fabian, not this time. What? But Mom said. I'm sure she did, but I'm saying no. You're joking, right? You can't just. I can, and I am. My voice was shaking, but not from fear, from something that felt surprisingly like freedom. I have to go. I have work to do. I ended the call and blocked both their numbers before I could change my mind. My phone immediately lit up with messages from Mom's other lines, but for the first time in years, I felt light. Free. Reagan smiled and slid her coffee toward me. Well, look who finally grew a backbone. I took a sip, savoring the bitter warmth. They're not going to like this. Probably not, she agreed. But I know someone who does, you. For the first time in years, I smiled without feeling guilty about it. She was right. This was just the beginning. 3 months after cutting off contact with my family, I found myself rushing through downtown at midnight, my backpack heavy with textbooks. The security guard at the lab, Marcus, gave me his usual knowing smile as I swiped my badge. Another late night, Dr. Tinsley. Not a doctor yet, I laughed, hurrying past. Just need to check on my experiments before class. The lab was eerily quiet at night, just how I liked it. I'd been secretly taking evening classes at the local university, building up credits toward my PhD while working full-time. Without Fabian's constant financial demands, I could finally afford it. "You're here late." The voice made me jump. Dr. Zoe, my department head, stood in the doorway of the main lab, her silver hair gleaming under the fluorescent lights. I gestured vaguely at my workspace, heart pounding. We weren't supposed to use the lab for personal research after hours. Zoe walked over, picking up my notebook. Her eyes scanned the equations I'd been working on. "This isn't related to our current project." "I'm sorry, I know I shouldn't." "This is brilliant." She looked up, her eyes sharp. "You're exploring magnetic field manipulation for energy storage." I nodded, bracing for reprimand. Instead, she pulled up a chair. "Tell me more." For the next hour, I explained my theories, my hands flying as I described the potential applications. Zoe asked pointed questions, challenging my assumptions, making me defend my calculations. Finally, she sat back. "Why haven't you shared this with the team?" "I'm not qualified." "I mean, I don't have my doctorate yet, but you're working on it." It wasn't a question. "The night classes at Metropolitan University." I felt my face flush. "How did you—" "Marcus mentions your schedule. He's worried you're working too hard." She smiled. "He's not wrong. I can't afford to slow down," I admitted. "I've lost too much time already." "Because of your brother?" I stared at her, shocked. "Reagan talks," she explained. "She's worried about you, too." She pulled out her phone, typing something quickly. "Check your email tomorrow morning. There's a renewable energy conference next month in Boston. You're presenting this research." "What?" "No, I couldn't possibly." "You can, and you will. It's time to stop hiding your light, Tinsley." She stood up. "And from now on, use my private lab for your research. The equipment's better, and you won't have to sneak around at midnight." I felt tears pricking at my eyes. "Why are you helping me?" "Because talent like yours shouldn't be wasted." She headed for the door, then turned back. "Oh, and I'm supervising your PhD. Consider this your official acceptance." After she left, I sat in stunned silence until my phone alarm reminded me I had class in 20 minutes. Racing across campus, I nearly collided with someone outside the physics building. "Whoa, careful." Strong hands steadied me. I looked up into warm brown eyes. "Sorry," I mumbled, trying to step around him. "You're Tinsley Franklin, aren't you?" He didn't let go. "I'm Desmond. I work in Dr. Zoe's lab." Oh, I'd seen him around, but never spoken to him. "I'm actually running late for Advanced Theoretical Physics with Professor Kumar." He grinned at my surprise. "I'm heading there too. Mind if I walk with you?" During class, I caught him watching me several times, especially when I challenged the professor's assumptions about quantum field theory. Afterward, he caught up with me outside. "You really know your stuff," he said. "Want to grab coffee? I'd love to hear your thoughts on quantum entanglement." My phone buzzed. A text from Reagan. "Where are you? Movie night, remember?" "Rain check?" I showed him the text. "I promised my friend." "Tomorrow then, and maybe you can tell me about your presentation for the Boston conference." I froze. "How did you—" "Zoe just sent the speaker list to the whole department." His smile widened. "Looks like you're our new rising star." That night, curled up on Reagan's couch with popcorn and wine, I told her everything. "Finally," she exclaimed. "I've been trying to get Zoe to notice you for months. And Desmond's cute, right?" I threw popcorn at her. "Focus. I'm presenting at a major conference in 4 weeks. I'm terrified." "You're ready." she said firmly. You've been ready for years, while you were putting everyone else first. She refilled my wine. Now it's your turn to shine. My phone lit up with an email notification. The conference details, including my speaking slot, right after lunch on the main stage. Oh God, I whispered. This is really happening. Reagan clinked her glass against mine. Yes, it is, and it's about damn time. For the first time since I could remember, my future felt limitless. Scary, yes, but also thrillingly possible. I had 4 weeks to prepare for the biggest moment of my career, and for once, nothing and no one was standing in my way. The conference hall buzzed with anticipation. I gripped my presentation clicker, trying to steady my breathing, as the moderator introduced me. Our next speaker has made remarkable breakthroughs in renewable energy storage. Desmond caught my eye from the front row, giving me a subtle thumbs up. He'd helped me practice this presentation countless times over coffee breaks and late-night lab sessions. Please welcome Tinsley from Metropolitan Energy Research Institute. Walking onto that stage felt like stepping into another life. My life, finally. Imagine a world, I began, my voice clear and strong, where we can harness and store unlimited clean energy using nothing but magnetic fields and quantum mechanics. For the next 30 minutes, I owned that room. Every equation, every diagram, every theoretical model I'd worked on in secret came alive on the screen behind me. The audience leaned forward in their seats, scribbling notes, nodding along. During the Q&A, a reporter from Science Today stood up. Your research is groundbreaking. What inspired you to pursue this path? Actually, I smiled. It started with, the back door opened. My heart stopped. Mom slipped into the conference hall, followed by Fabian. They'd found me. I forced myself to continue. It started with a desire to make sustainable energy accessible to everyone. My voice didn't shake. I wouldn't let it. After fielding more questions, I stepped off stage to thunderous applause. Zoe immediately pulled me into a hug. Brilliant. 3 companies have already asked about licensing possibilities. Make that 4, Desmond added, appearing beside us. Tesla just called. Before I could respond, a familiar voice cut through the crowd. Darling, why didn't you tell us about this wonderful achievement? Mom pushed forward, arms outstretched, Fabian trailing behind her. She tried to hug me, but I stepped back. How did you find me? Oh, sweetheart, you're all over the science news. Your brother saw the live stream and recognized you immediately. She beamed. We're so proud. Now you tell me, I muttered. Fabian cleared his throat. This is pretty impressive, sis. You've been holding out on us. A small crowd of reporters gathered nearby, obviously interested in this family reunion. Mom noticed them too, her smile brightening. Mrs. Franklin, one called out, are you here to support your daughter's breakthrough research? Of course, we've always encouraged Tinsley's interests. She reached for my arm. Family support is everything. I pulled away. No, stop. Darling, there are reporters. Exactly, so let me be clear. I turned to face the small crowd. My work was accomplished without family support. In fact, I had to hide my education and research while working multiple jobs to fund my brother's failed college attempts. Mom's face fell. Tinsley, please. I'd like to thank my actual support system. I continued. Dr. Zoe, who believed in me. Reagan, who encouraged me. Desmond, who challenged me to be better. I met Mom's eyes, and myself, for finally choosing my own dreams. Fabian stepped forward. Come on, sis, no need to be dramatic. We're here now, aren't we? Yes, now that I'm successful. Where were you when I was working night shifts to pay for your Harvard application? A reporter raised her hand. Is this true? You funded your brother's education at the expense of your own? Before Mom could intervene, Zoe spoke up. Tinsley developed this breakthrough theory while taking night classes and working full-time. Her dedication is remarkable. And now, Desmond added, sliding his hand into mine, she's being offered a full research partnership at our institute. I turned to him in surprise. This was news to me. Surprise, he whispered. Zoe wanted to announce it after your presentation. Mom's expression shifted from embarrassment to calculation. A partnership. Darling, that's wonderful. We should celebrate as a family. Perhaps discuss your future plans. No. The word came out soft but firm. My future plans don't include being your backup plan anymore. But we're family, Fabian protested. Family doesn't exploit family. I squeezed Desmond's hand. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a research partnership to discuss. As security quietly escorted them out, Reagan appeared with champagne. I recorded everything, she grinned, including their faces when you shut them down. Priceless. The reporters dispersed, but not before getting photos of me with my real support system. Zoe, Reagan, and Desmond gathered around as we toasted my success. To new beginnings, Zoe declared. And to karma, Reagan added with a wink. I looked at the door where my mother and brother had disappeared, feeling lighter than ever. To choosing yourself, I said. Desmond pulled me closer. Speaking of choices, dinner tonight. To discuss that partnership. For the first time in my life, I was exactly where I wanted to be. Surrounded by people who valued me for who I was, not what I could give them. The future stretched out before me, bright with possibility. Dinner sounds perfect, I smiled. I have a feeling this is just the beginning. 6 months after the conference, my life had transformed. My research was being implemented in 3 major cities. I was halfway through my PhD, and Desmond and I had moved in together. Everything was perfect. Until the knock at my door at 3 a.m. Mom, I stood in my doorway, staring at her tear-stained face. She looked older, desperate. Tinsley, please. I didn't know where else to go. Desmond appeared behind me, pulling on a t-shirt. Everything okay? I need to talk to my daughter, Mom said. Privately, I felt Desmond's hand on my shoulder. I'll make coffee. Once we were seated in the living room, Mom broke down. It's Fabian. He's in trouble. When isn't he? This is serious. She wrung her hands. He's been gambling. The wrong people. They're threatening him. I sat back. How much? $200,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. What? He thought he could double his student loans at the casino. She pulled out crumpled papers. These men, they're dangerous. They've given him 48 hours. And you came to me because you're successful now, your research, the patents. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. So I'm still just an ATM? No. But you're his sister. You're my daughter. We're family. Family. I laughed bitterly. Where was this family when I was sleeping in my car, between jobs to pay for Fabian's prep courses? I know we made mistakes. Mistakes. I stood up. You deliberately suppressed my dreams for years. You told me I was selfish for wanting an education while Fabian needed support. And now that he's gambled away his future, you want me to bail him out. He'll die, Tinsley. She was sobbing now. These aren't nice people. They'll hurt him. Desmond returned with coffee, setting it down quietly. I should go, he said. But I caught his arm. Stay, I need a witness for this. I turned to Mom. Where is Fabian now? At my house. He's too scared to leave. Call him. Tell him to come here. Now. It's the middle of the night. Yes, now. If he wants my help, he needs to ask for it himself. While Mom made the call, Desmond pulled me aside. Are you sure about this? No, I admitted. But I need to handle this my way. Fabian arrived 30 minutes later, looking haunted. His designer clothes were wrinkled, his face unshaven. Hey sis, he mumbled. You look good. Cut the small talk. Tell me exactly what happened. He explained how he'd taken out extra student loans, convinced he could multiply the money through online poker. When that failed, he'd found an underground casino. Each attempt to recover his losses only dug him deeper. I messed up, he finished. I know that, but these guys, they're serious. They showed me pictures of my apartment, my girlfriend, and you want me to fix it. I'll pay you back, he said quickly. I swear, I'll get a job, any job. Like you promised before? Multiple times? He flinched. This is different. I've learned my lesson. Have you? I pulled out my laptop. Show me your bank statements, all of them. What? That's private. Not if you want my help. Reluctantly, he logged into his accounts, multiple cash withdrawals, maxed out credit cards, and payday loans painted a picture of spectacular irresponsibility. Jesus, Fabian, I whispered. This is worse than gambling. This is addiction. I can stop anytime, he protested weakly. No, you can't. I closed the laptop, and I won't enable this anymore. Mom jumped up. You can't just let him die. I'm not. I turned to Desmond. Can you get me the envelope from my office? He returned with a sealed manila envelope. I handed it to Fabian. What's this? He asked. Opportunity. Open it tomorrow. For now, I've booked you into a hotel under a different name. The dangerous people won't find you there. But the money will be handled. Not by me directly. But I know people who deal with these situations legally. On one condition. He clutched the envelope. Anything. You follow every instruction in that envelope. No exceptions. That's it. That's it. I stood up. The hotel reservation is under Smith at the Marriott downtown. Go now. After they left, Desmond held me as I shook. You okay? No. I showed him my phone, displaying the text I just sent to my lawyer. I just committed to paying off my brother's debt through legal channels. But he doesn't need to know that yet. What's in the envelope? A comprehensive recovery plan, addiction counseling, financial literacy courses, job training, and zero access to the money I'm using to save his life. Desmond kissed my forehead. You're either brilliant or crazy. Maybe both. I leaned into him, exhausted. Think it'll work? I think you just gave him exactly what he needs, whether he knows it or not. Dawn was breaking outside our window, marking the beginning of another day, another challenge. But this time, I was facing it on my terms. The next afternoon, my office door burst open. Fabian stormed in, waving the opened envelope. Is this some kind of joke? He demanded, scattering papers across my desk. I calmly set down my coffee. Those are the conditions for my help. Mandatory therapy, financial counseling, a job at... He checked the paper. A coffee shop. Are you kidding me? The position's already arranged. You start Monday. I have a business degree, which you've never used. I leaned forward. The coffee shop belongs to Reagan's brother. He's agreed to give you a chance. A chance? He laughed bitterly. I'm not some charity case, Tinsley. I need money, not life lessons. You need both. I pulled up his bank statements on my laptop. In the past year, you've gambled away over $500,000. Money isn't your solution, it's your problem. Those guys don't care about my problems. They want their money in... He checked his phone. 36 hours. The money's being handled. His eyes lit up. So you're paying them. My lawyer is negotiating a settlement, but you won't see a penny of it. What? How am I supposed to? You're supposed to follow this plan. I tapped the scattered papers. Get clean. Learn responsibility. Earn your own way. By serving coffee, he slumped into a chair. Mom was right. You're just trying to punish me. No, I'm trying to save you. I pulled out another document. Sign this. He scanned it. Power of attorney. No way. Then leave. Handle this yourself. You'd really let them hurt me. You're hurting yourself. I'm offering a way out. I stood up. But it's my way this time, not yours. He stared at the paper for a long moment. The coffee shop job. How much does it pay? Minimum wage plus tips. And you'll live in the studio apartment above it. Live there, but my place is being paid for with borrowed money you don't have. I softened my voice. Fabian, you need a fresh start. Real work, real responsibility, real consequences. And therapy. Twice a week, non-negotiable. Plus, Gamblers Anonymous meetings. He picked up the pen, then hesitated. What if I fail? Then you fail trying to be better, instead of failing trying to get rich quick. The pen scratched across paper. As soon as he signed, I scanned and sent the document to my lawyer. What now? He asked, looking lost. Now you read the rest of those papers. They include a daily schedule, budget, and program requirements. I checked my watch. Your first therapy appointment is in 2 hours. Today, but no buts. Reagan's waiting outside to drive you. I pressed a basic flip phone into his hand. Your new phone. For calls and texts only. No internet access. You really thought of everything. I had to. You never did. He gathered the papers slowly. The money, those guys, will be dealt with by tomorrow. But that part of your life is over. Focus on what's next. At the door, he turned back. Why are you doing this, after everything? Because someone once gave me a chance. Several someones, actually. I thought of Zoe, Reagan, Desmond. Now I'm giving you one. After he left, Desmond found me staring out my office window. Reagan texted, "They're headed to therapy. Think he'll stick with it?" Hard to say. He massaged my shoulders. But you've given him structure, consequences, and support. That's more than your mother ever did. My phone buzzed. Mom calling. I declined it. Speaking of mother, Desmond began. She'll hate this plan. She'll call it cruel, say I'm destroying his potential. His potential for what? More gambling? More debt? Before I could answer, my office phone rang. The front desk. Dr. Tinsley, your mother's here, demanding to see you. I took a deep breath. Send her up. Want me to stay? Desmond asked. No, I need to handle this alone. I kissed him quickly. But maybe have security on standby. He laughed, but I wasn't entirely joking. Mom burst in moments later, face flushed with anger. What have you done to your brother? Given him what you never could. I met her gaze steadily. Boundaries. He called me crying. Working in a coffee shop? Therapy? You're humiliating him. No, I'm helping him grow up. Something you should have done years ago. By controlling his life. By showing him actions have consequences. I handed her a copy of the plan. Read it, really read it. Then ask yourself why you're angry about your son finally facing responsibility. She clutched the papers, tears forming. He's fragile. He's manipulative. And you taught him to be. I opened my door. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have actual work to do. As she left, I felt lighter. For the first time, I wasn't just standing up to my family. I was actually helping them, whether they understood it or not. My phone buzzed again, a text from Reagan. He made it to therapy, looking scared, but he's here. It was a start. 2 weeks into Fabian's rehabilitation program, I stopped by the coffee shop during the morning rush. He stood behind the counter, hair slightly disheveled, wearing a green apron and a forced smile. Grande latte, extra shot, I ordered, watching him fumble with the espresso machine. I know how to make coffee, he snapped, then caught himself. Sorry, morning rush is intense. Welcome to the real world. I dropped a 5 in the tip jar. How's the apartment? Small, noisy. He handed me my drink, but better than the alternative. The alternative being the dangerous people my lawyer had finally paid off yesterday. Fabian didn't need to know the final settlement was nearly double the original debt. Therapy yesterday? He nodded, starting another customer's order. Doc says I'm showing promising signs of acceptance. His air quotes nearly spilled hot coffee. Whatever that means. It means you're trying. Yeah, well. He glanced around the busy shop. Some customers actually treat me like a human being. That's new. Imagine that. The door chimed. Mom walked in, designer purse clutched like armor. Darling, she approached the counter. I thought I'd surprise you at work. Fabian's face tightened. Mom, I'm kind of busy. Nonsense. I brought you lunch from that lovely French place you adore. She held up a bag. You can't possibly be expected to eat whatever they serve here. Staff gets free lunch, he muttered. Part of the job. But surely they'll let you take a break. This is hardly a real job anyway. Just a temporary. Mom, his voice was sharp. I'm working. Real customers are waiting. But, he said he's working. I interrupted. Either order something or leave. She turned to me, eyes narrowing. Still enforcing your cruel little experiment, I see. Still enabling destructive behavior, I see. Guys? Fabian gestured to the growing line of irritated customers. Mom straightened her shoulders. Fine, one skinny vanilla latte. Surely you can manage that. Fabian's hands shook slightly as he worked the machine. When he handed her the drink, she took a sip and grimaced. Oh dear, perhaps you need more training. I could speak to the manager. The manager says he's doing fine, came a voice behind her. Reagan's brother Mike stepped out from the back. In fact, he's one of our quickest learners. Mom's face flushed. Well, I only meant. I know what you meant. Mike smiled professionally. Now, unless you're planning to order something else, we have customers waiting. After she left, Fabian let out a long breath. Thanks, boss. Don't mention it. Mike checked the tip jar. Looking better than yesterday. Keep it up, and you might make shift leader by month's end. I watched Fabian's expression shift from surprise to something like pride. Really, really, now back to work. Later that evening, my doorbell rang. Fabian stood there, still in his work clothes, looking exhausted. Can we talk? I let him in. Desmond was working late, so we had the place to ourselves. Mom's driving me crazy, he said, collapsing onto the couch. She keeps trying to rescue me. Sounds familiar. Yeah, well, he rubbed his face. My therapist says she's part of the problem, that her enabling fed my addiction. Smart therapist. She wants me to quit the coffee shop, says it's beneath me. He looked up. But I kinda like it. Is that weird? Why do you like it? It's simple, clear. I make coffee. People either like it or they don't. No schemes, no pressure to be extraordinary. He smiled slightly, and I'm actually getting good at it. That's called honest work. Yeah. He pulled out his flip phone. Got my first full paycheck today. It's tiny compared to before, but I earned it. How does that feel? Terrifying, humbling. He met my eyes. Real. My own phone buzzed. Mom again. I declined the call. She's never going to change, is she? Fabian asked quietly. Probably not, but you can. He stood up. I should go. Early shift tomorrow. At the door, he hesitated. That envelope you gave me, it wasn't really about the money, was it? What do you think? I think, he squared his shoulders. I think you gave me what you always wanted, a chance to prove yourself without someone else pulling the strings. For a moment, I saw the brother I could have had all along, the one who might still exist beneath years of entitlement and manipulation. Good night, Fabian. Night, sis. He paused. Thanks for not giving up on me, even if I don't deserve it. After he left, I texted Mike. How's he really doing? The response came quickly. Better than expected. Still has attitude sometimes, but he's trying, really trying. Maybe that was enough for now. Not a miracle, not a complete transformation, but a start. A real one this time. 1 month later, I was reviewing lab results when my office door flew open. Mom stormed in, waving a stack of papers. What is this? She slammed them on my desk. Power of attorney, mandatory counseling, financial restrictions. How dare you? I glanced at the documents, copies of Fabian's recovery plan. I see you finally read it. This is abuse. You're controlling your brother's entire life. No, I'm teaching him to control his own life. By making him work like a common servant. Living in that tiny apartment, he's depressed. Actually, a voice came from the doorway. I'm not. Fabian stood there in his green apron, holding a drink carrier with 3 coffees. Brought your afternoon fix, he said, setting them down. Hey, Mom. Darling, thank goodness you're here. Look what your sister's done. I know what she's done. He handed me my latte. I signed those papers myself. Mom's mouth opened and closed. But why? Because I needed help, real help, not enabling. He sat down. My therapist says, therapist, Mom spat the word. You don't need therapy. You need your family to support you. That's what we're doing, I said quietly. Supporting him through recovery. Recovery. He's not some addict. Yes, I am. Fabian's voice was firm. I'm a gambling addict. I've been going to GA meetings for a month now. Got my 30-day chip yesterday. Mom collapsed into a chair. This is ridiculous. You're both being ridiculous. Mom. Fabian leaned forward. I lost $500,000. I put my life in danger. I hurt everyone who tried to help me. But you were just... I was out of control. Tinsley saw it. She could have just paid off my debt and let me keep spiraling. Instead, she gave me structure, consequences, a chance to earn back my self-respect. By making coffee, Mom's voice dripped with disdain. By working honest hours for honest pay. He pulled out his wallet, showed her a small bronze chip. By facing my addiction one day at a time. By learning who I am without the gambling, without the lies, without you fixing everything. I never. Yes, you did. We both know it. He took a deep breath. I got promoted to shift leader yesterday. It's not glamorous, but I earned it. Actually earned it. Mom turned to me, tears streaming. What have you done to him? She saved my life, Fabian answered. And not just from those guys I owed money to. From myself. From you. From me? Mom stood up shaking. I gave everything for you, both of you. No, I said, standing too. You gave everything to maintain the illusion of a perfect family. You pushed me aside to focus on Fabian, then enabled his worst impulses because facing reality was too hard. That's not true. It is. Fabian's voice was gentle. You taught me I was special, that normal rules didn't apply to me. But they do, Mom. They always did. She grabbed her purse. I won't listen to this. When you both come to your senses, we already have, I interrupted. The question is, will you? I'm your mother. You can't just. We can. We are. Fabian stood beside me. I have to get back to work. Real work, Mom. A real life. After she stormed out, Fabian let out a shaky breath. That was harder than my first GA meeting. You did good, I said, squeezing his shoulder. Think she'll ever understand? Maybe, maybe not. But that's not your problem anymore. He nodded, checking his watch. Break's over. Thanks for the backup, sis. Thanks for proving me right. He grinned, a real, unforced smile. Don't let it go to your head. I still think some of your rules are crazy strict. They're working, aren't they? Yeah. He headed for the door. They really are. After he left, I sat staring at the coffee he'd brought. One for me, one for Desmond, and one for Reagan. He'd remembered everyone's orders perfectly. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. When you've finished destroying this family, don't come crying to me. I showed it to Reagan when she came in for her coffee. Wow, she said, still playing the victim? Some things never change, but some things do. She nodded toward the window, where we could see Fabian heading back to work, walking tall, no longer hunched under the weight of secrets and schemes. You know, she added, when you first told me your tough love plan, I thought you were crazy. But watching him today, standing up to your mom, owning his mistakes, maybe crazy works sometimes. I smiled, remembering his proud smile when he showed us his 30-day chip. Maybe it does. The path ahead wouldn't be easy. Recovery never is. But for the first time, both Fabian and I were walking our own paths, free from Mom's manipulations and our own destructive patterns. Sometimes, tough love is the truest love of all. The autumn breeze carried the scent of coffee and fresh pastries as I approached the newly opened cafe. The sign above the door read, "Second Chances," in elegant script. Through the window, I could see Fabian training a new barista, his movements confident and sure. Ready for this? Desmond squeezed my hand, as I'll ever be. The bell chimed as we entered. Fabian looked up and broke into a grin. Welcome to the grand opening. He spread his arms wide. What do you think? I took in the warm lighting, comfortable seating, and the wall of recovery milestone chips displayed proudly near the register. Bronze, silver, and gold markers of time won back from addiction. It's perfect. Mike's taking a huge risk, making me partner in this location. No, I corrected him. He's making a smart business decision. You earned this. He rubbed the back of his neck, still unused to genuine praise. Well, wait till you see the best part. He led us to a corner where a series of framed articles hung on the wall. My articles, my research, my achievements. The inspiration wall, he explained. For anyone who needs reminding that it's never too late to change your life. The bell chimed again. Mom stood in the doorway, clutching her designer purse like a shield. You came, Fabian said softly. You invited me. She looked around, taking everything in. It's nice. Thanks. He gestured to the new barista. I've got this, Jake. Take 5. Mom approached the counter slowly. The recovery chips, those are real. Every one of them. Some are mine, some are from other people in the program. He started making her usual order without being asked. We're going to host GA meetings here after hours. I see. She accepted the coffee, took a sip. This is actually quite good. Should be. I've had a lot of practice. Her eyes found the inspiration wall, lingered on my articles. Your sister's quite successful now. She always was, Fabian said. We just couldn't see it. Mom's hand trembled slightly as she set down her cup. I got the papers from your lawyer yesterday about dissolving the power of attorney. Yeah, Fabian smiled at me. Tinsley thinks I'm ready to manage my own life again. And are you? Let's see. I'm 1 year sober, I'm partner in a business, and I haven't placed a bet in 365 days. He straightened his shoulders. So yeah, I think I am. I've been seeing someone too, Mom said quietly. A therapist. The silence that followed was heavy with surprise. Really? I finally managed. She nodded. Dr. Marcus says I have control issues, and that I enabled destructive behaviors because I couldn't face my own failures as a parent. Fabian reached across the counter, took her hand. You weren't a failure, Mom. You just lost your way. We all did. But your sister found her way first, he finished, and then showed us how to find ours. Mom turned to me, eyes glistening. I was wrong about everything. I'm sorry. I know. I stepped closer. The question is, what happens now? Now, she squared her shoulders. Now I'd like to get to know my children, the real ones, not the versions I tried to create. That might take time, I warned. I have time. She gestured to the wall of chips. And apparently, this is a good place for new beginnings. Fabian started making fresh drinks for all of us. First rounds on the house. No. Mom pulled out her wallet. I'll pay. It's time I supported your work, both of you. As we settled at a table, Desmond's phone buzzed. His eyes widened at the message. The Renewable Energy Commission approved your proposal, he announced. Full funding for the next phase of research. Mom leaned forward. Tell me about your work, Tinsley. Really tell me. I'm ready to listen. So I did. And for the first time, she really heard me. We talked for hours about science, about recovery, about truth and consequences and second chances. When other customers came in, Fabian excused himself to help with the rush. I watched him work, saw the easy confidence in his movements, the genuine smile as he greeted people. He's different, Mom observed. Stronger. We all are. She reached for my hand. Thank you for being brave enough to break the cycle, for loving your brother enough to let him fall, she glanced around the cafe, for creating this space where healing is possible. Actually, I smiled, watching Fabian high-five his trainee over a perfectly made latte. I think we created it together. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of promise. Inside Second Chances, a family was healing, one honest conversation at a time. It wasn't perfect. Nothing real ever is, but it was true, and earned, and ours. And that made all the difference.